You're listening to the Rich Dad Cryptoverse podcast, where the force of financial education merges with the power of cryptocurrency. Here's your host, Rob LeCount.
All right, welcome back, everybody. My name's Rob. This is my buddy Jim. We are with Rich Dad Cryptoverse, and we're back here just trying to bring you some crypto knowledge this week. Hey, Jim, I was wondering,
what's going on?
You want to buy a football team?
Oh, that's a loaded question, my friend. Well, in case the audience doesn't know, yeah, Rob and I we're big football enthusiasts, American football. So you must be referring to the Denver Broncos story this week, where I guess the estimates are that the team is going to sell for somewhere around $4 billion, but that it might be owned by what is known as a DAO. DAO. And if you never heard that term before, that's okay. We're here to educate. That is a decentralized autonomous organization, right? And kind of represented by rules that are encoded as a computer program that is supposed to be transparent, and it's controlled by the organization members and not really influenced by a central entity. So that's why decentralized, and that's what we've been talking about in terms of Web 3.0. So I think the guy that's there, maybe he worked at like Cisco or something. Like he was like, I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 years he worked at Cisco in their legal department. So he's looking to do that, and it would be pretty fascinating. I think the Packers are the only other team in the NFL that's owned by a cooperative.
Yep.
So it's just really neat to see how all of this decentralization and how it's filtering into everything, really, all the different facets and aspects of society. So yeah, that's kind of neat. That would be cool, man, to be a part owner in a football team or a soccer team, or right, baseball, whatever your passion is.
It just goes to show you how this industry is impacting even some of the oldest of institutions, right? Outside of finance, even. I mean, well, like, what do you know in history where a normal person like you and I might get an opportunity to buy a portion of a National Football League team?
I mean, no way, right? I mean, you go through history, it just doesn't happen. So these kind of opportunities, it's going to be really cool. And I don't think this will ever come to fruition, but just the idea of it is pretty neat in terms of, again, the whole decentralization aspect of, again, where we see society headed, in finance or, real estate, whatever it is.
I mean, you're seeing athletes take, Bitcoin or Ethereum as payment.
Love it, man. Saquon Barkley, or, who's the guy, the quarterback, Lawrence on Jacksonville.
Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence. So, right. He took some of his signing bonus, I think, in Bit and in Ethereum. Yep. So he's got some smart people behind him. I don't know if it's family or his agent or whomever, but probably his agent, right? Pretty smart people that he's looking to do that. I love that when I see those kinds of stories.
Awesome. Well, this week we're going to talk about DeFi, or decentralized finance. So Jim, can you explain to me in very common terms what the word DeFi means, or decentralized finance? What is it?
Yeah, so I think it's just a great topic for us to delve into, dig into, and just get deep on here. We're not too deep, but so DeFi is really just an acronym, right, for decentralized finance, and it's, in a sense, it's mimicking real life finance but on the blockchain, right? So it really, like, technically, it kind of refers to open source, which is just original code that can be modified and redistributed, financial software that pretty much just operates like, for all intents and purposes, independently, on a blockchain network that anybody, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, doesn't matter what your zip code is, it doesn't matter how wealthy you are, anybody that has an internet connection, that you can, get basic access to financial services, such as borrowing and lending and investing, without the need for a financial intermediary, right? So it's not centralized. And you could also, I guess, in a sense, say, in trying to keep it simple, it's really an umbrella term for peer-to-peer financial services on these public blockchains, and primarily Ethereum, right? So there's Bitcoin and then there's Ethereum. So at the end of the day, too, DeFi seeks to build a better financial world, made possible by the advent of the internet and really blockchain technology in general. So we've talked about this already on the show. Blockchain, right? Technology and decentralization are a huge part of what Web 3.0 is now and what it's going to be into the future. And this could bring us into a whole thing about traditional finance, but I don't know if you want to go there.
I would. And, I just want to pepper it in there because I know the people listening
Sure.
are like big Rich Dad fans, just as I am and have been with for a long time. And everybody knows Rich Dad is all about cash flow. And I will tell you the DeFi space is my point of study, and DeFi is where a lot of the cash flow in the crypto world is happening. But yeah, that's like, I would like to know, like, what is the difference between like traditional finance and this decentralized version of it? Like, why is this one possibly better than this one?
Yeah, so banks are they're vital parts of the moving machine that we would say is our financial industry, right? They enable money to move around the world by providing value transfer services, whether it's depositing money, withdrawing, transfers, extending credit lines, loans, and more. But at the end of the day, too, however, banks, they're managed by humans, and they're really governed by policies that are prone to human-related risks such as mismanagement and corruption. And in some cases, it could really be ubiquitous. It could be widespread. And they are so large that the total market capitalization the top 10 banks in the world is roughly $2 trillion. And I think this was amplified, or we saw it exemplified with what happened in 2008. And you saw the global financial crisis that, the excessive risk that was taken by banks and governments really forced to make these massive bailouts of the banks. And it kind of exposed the shortcomings of the traditional finance system and highlighted a need for it to be rectified and for things to really be done better. It's really well known, right, that the US financial system is siloed. And it's really designed to sustain high switching costs. And what do I mean by that? I mean, moving money from one institution to another can be, unduly lengthy, and complicated. So, for example, I don't know, a wire transfer, right? A wire transfer is going to take you on average, maybe 3 days to complete. And then that's not even factoring in the lack of transparency. So as a bank, you go to a bank as a customer, you really have very little information on the financial health of the bank in which you're banking. And instead, you really have to place your faith in the limited government protection of FDIC, Federal Deposit Insurance Corp, insurance on your deposits. So I think that's where DeFi comes into play and why it's so attractive.
Yeah. And I mean, I could see DeFi interfering with things like the Fed, right? I mean, it stops quantitative easing and tampering and all the other little just levers that these guys pull that sort of mess with the economy, right? To sort of prop it up falsely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's why you see so many people that are interested in learning about it. And it's extremely early, and we can get into some of that stuff. But I just love the possibilities. I love the potential for what this offers us for really, in essence, maybe a better financial foundation or a better financial future to look forward to.
Well, that leads to a question that I have then, like, can you explain the ways that you think that DeFi and blockchain can actually solve problems and, I guess, pave the way for a better financial future?
Yeah. So, again, I alluded to this just a minute ago, but if you're trying to send funds to, like, say, a bank or a person in another country, it's Australia or Greece, pick wherever you want. Transactions involving banks take days to complete. And then there are all the transaction fees, right, on top of it. So if I'm sending money to another person, right, the exchange rate from my bank, the international outbound and inbound, right, fees. So DeFi, through using cryptocurrency, can eradicate, not get rid of, not all of it, but a lot of these, what I would say, are just absolutely ridiculous fees. And these transfers on the blockchain, right? Which again, if you're like, what the heck is this guy talking about? I want you to think about blockchain as a transparent ledger, right? That everyone can see. Think of kind of an Excel spreadsheet, right? And everyone can see that there's transparency, and transactions will take much less time. And the fees that are associated, they're minuscule, man, in comparison to traditional finance.
And I want to note something there. Unlike traditional finance, those fees and all that money goes back to the top, to the bank. Right. In crypto, all those fees or gas or whatever you want to call it, transactional fees, they actually go back to support the protocol, not to the people that built it.
Love it, man.
Which I think is a massive difference, right? Like it's almost anti-corruption to feed the beast than feed the people that built the beast. So there's a huge delineation there, I think, between the two.
Well said, man. And, I think for us, like, we both live in the United States. So we have access to banks and the services they offer, right? So if we want to open an account, you want to take out a loan, et cetera. I don't know if you know this, but there's roughly 1.6 billion people on this planet that are unbanked. So you look at like developing nations, man, it's very challenging. It's arduous for people to secure loans and to operate in the world of really internet commerce. So, I see stuff like that. DeFi offers people, man, who are bankless an opportunity to make financial transactions without being verified by traditional banks. So no longer decentralized finance are these centralized institutions, are they really needed for basic financial actions? So in essence, you are your own bank and you can get credit on a blockchain, all without the hassle of dealing with a centralized financial institution. And I just love it, man. I get excited about it because DeFi enables wider global access to financial services, and anyone with an internet connection, right, and a smartphone. So I don't remember what the exact number is, but if 1.6 billion people are unbanked, I mean, maybe it's like the opposite of that maybe 2/3 of the world like has like access to like a cell phone, or something like that, right? Yeah. So you're eliminating a lot of these barriers of entry that prevent people in developing countries from accessing, right, the traditional banking finance system in whatever it looks like in their country. And it really, come on, let's be honest here. It revolves around status, location, and wealth. So that's the beauty of decentralized finance. It's just a huge reason why I love it. It kind of levels out the playing field a little bit.
Well, and I want to acknowledge something with that is also, with the traditional finance system, because of so many unbanked individuals, it's fraught with scams. I mean, you've got payday loans, you've got check cashing, all with exorbitant like fees, and they're just all highway robbery, and they're taken away from like you had said, there are people that are already in a bad position. Now they're being taken advantage of. And like, this is all eliminated in this. And speaking of elimination, I just want to acknowledge one thing. We did shut the comments off on YouTube, and it has nothing to do with Jim or I being afraid of you guys.
I'm upset, man. I wanted to see all the spam. I'm upset.
Yeah, it's the scammers. We care so much about everyone that listens or watches or whatever. We just don't want you getting scammed. We love crypto so much. So as much as we want to hear your feedback, we apologize. We had to shut it off for your protection. So there's a little PSA thrown in there as well.
No, man.
Beware of scammers.
You could even talk about loans, right? Loans. At present, man, it's virtually impossible for somebody that's unbanked to borrow money. They lack credit. If you have no credit history with a banking institution, good luck, right? So DeFi platforms and protocols will connect borrowers and lenders directly, really eliminating things like credit checks and enabling digital assets to be collateralized. So that's something that's cool. And I love the financial transparency again, that we've already kind of, got into that a little bit. And again, it goes back to that 2008 financial crisis, which included, it included credit rated agencies giving AAA ratings. So AAA ratings mean like the best and safest investments to really high risk mortgage backed securities like Lehman Brothers or Washington Mutual. So very problematic. DeFi changes that. And as it functions on blockchain technology, again, all the transactions, the data, the codes that are on the blockchain, they're transparent to everyone. And I think really, when you really boil it down, DeFi's biggest strength is its ability to remove, again, these intermediaries, the middlemen, while operating with zero censorship. And that's just another reason why I love it, man. And it's not perfect. And there are issues with this, and there are risks that are at play because it's super early. But I love where this is headed. I love the idea behind this, and the tenets of it. It just makes so much sense.
Agreed. Yeah, I agree. I mean, honestly, DeFi is the thing that made me fall in love. I'm back in love.
Yeah, you've told me that.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in crypto for a very, very long time, but DeFi really sucked me back in because I do love the idea of cash flow, and I love the idea of owning assets like NFT. So there's a lot of cool congruency between, Rich Dad's model of looking at life and how you should live find your financial, freedom. And it's always through cash flow. So I just love DeFi. So when it comes to decentralized protocols, what's really required for them to function or work? I mean, what's their, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. No, that's well said. It's a good question because I think a lot of people probably listening would be asking that. So how does this even work? What does this even look like? Give me something that's maybe tangible. I think sometimes in crypto, things can be so ethereal or abstract. So trying to explain them and define them and convey it in such a way that's digestible and palatable, it's not always easy. But for DeFi dApps to work, decentralized apps, like you have regular apps on an app store, Web 2.0, we're talking about Web 3.0 for these decentralized apps to work. Collateral is locked into smart contracts, and that's required.
Wait, can I ask you?
Hold
on one second. I just want to ask you one question. So, are you saying when you use the word dApp and it's a decentralized app, is this something like your online banking with your bank, or like a trading account with whomever?
That's a good question. No. So I'm glad you're asking that, because again, what we're saying is that would be centralized, right? So for your bank, these are decentralized applications and protocols that are not run by one central entity that is controlling everything, right? So the way this is set up is there are what are known as smart contracts. And let's really keep this simple for the audience. What a smart contract is, because it removes all of again, using that word, an intermediary or the middlemen, it removes them from the equation. And a smart contract could literally just be defined as a paperless, like a digital code that offers a set of promises on predefined or predetermined conditions that parties have agreed on. And many times in crypto, people will say it's an if-then. So a contract is kicked into gear, or it goes into effect when certain parameters are met. That's what a smart contract is. That we don't need attorneys. You don't need people that work in a bank, in a branch of a bank to set something. You don't need any of that. That all of this can be done on the blockchain where these contracts go in effect. So these contracts are required for for decentralized apps to work. And it's referred to as total value locked within these dApps or protocols. And the total value locked is really the overall value of crypto assets that are deposited into these, again, decentralized apps, right? Does that make sense? I hope I'm not losing any. I want to acknowledge one thing. You just said total value locked
Anybody getting into crypto, you'll see the acronym TVL everywhere, and that's what it's referring to. It just it's sort of because people use acronyms a lot in this, so just be aware of that.
I love it, man, because you're right, and I know many times, you can get lost in the vernacular and these acronyms, like you just said. Yeah. But TVL, or total value locked, it's kind of emerged as a key metric for gauging interest in that particular sector of, I think, of just the crypto industry. And if I could say this, right, and these are the numbers, ready or close to it, that the total value locked in 2019 was somewhere around like 270-ish million, right? And then by early 2021, the number jumped to $86 billion. That was locked up in all of these, the totality of all of these, decentralized applications. So then you may be asking, what are we at today? All of the total value locked across all the protocols right now. And we're somewhere around, don't quote me on this, but we're somewhere around maybe like 180 billion. And that always fluctuates. And there's certain protocols, we're not going to get into them now, whether it's, I don't know, Curve Finance or, MakerDAO. We could go on, but there's a lot of these protocols that are there. But again, these things, they became possible really, I guess, Ethereum starting this really in 2014 with the launch of ETH and the possibility of programmable blockchain logic. It brought a lot of this stuff really to life.
Can I ask you a question about an analogy that was going through my head when you were talking about smart contracts? Because smart contracts are pretty difficult to understand, but they're pretty simple once illustrated properly. I think
they could be. I've heard people talk about them, and I'm like, it can get really complicated.
So
so go ahead. I'd love to hear.
It's a good analogy. Like, I want to buy Jim's '89 Civic, right? Jim wants $5,000 for it. I paid Jim $5,000. And the smart contract will know that landed in your wallet, and that is a if-then within that smart contract, then releases the keys to the car to me somehow, not digitally, obviously, but it's change of ownership based on agreed terms, right? Is basically what a smart
but here, if I could just flesh that out a little bit.
Simplify it better than that.
No, man. I think what I would just say is a little different. You remove arbiters or judges, like nobody has to come in, because what's to say in that kind of situation with us as human beings that somebody doesn't come in and say, well, that's not what where's the contract, or I don't know, like the car isn't what I thought it was going to be. Again, I'm just using your analogy. So somebody could probably step in and say that there's still some gray in that. When it comes to a smart contract, man, it's pretty black and white. It goes into effect. If this is met, then this happens. So you don't need any outside sources. You don't need any centralized entity to come in and take control or say, hey, look, like a bank comes in and says, look, you deposited this or you withdrew your money. There's a fee. Everything is right there in the code. It's totally transparent and both parties kind of know. And it's hard to argue because it's right there on the blockchain.
Yes.
Does that make sense? Does that help?
It does.
It's friction. It ensures really a more frictionless financial system to some extent. It's not perfect. And we can get into that with some of the, some of the risks, I guess.
Well, let's just say that centralized finance has been around for, I have no idea how long, but a very long time. And it still has flaws. So
absolutely. Yeah. So there's no perfect, there's no perfect system for this. But even when it comes to DeFi too, and maybe this is for another conversation. I don't know. We can delve into this, dig and get into even stable coins, right? Yes. So, and I don't know if we want to go there but many decentralized apps, again, DeFi, related to DeFi, you'd have to include the creation of what we call stable coins. And those are just cryptocurrencies which have their value pegged to fiat currency, for example, like the US dollar. Doesn't have to be limited to a certain currency. It could also be pegged to commodities such as gold and even other types of cryptocurrencies. Yeah. But I love that too.
What are they called? Reflection tokens, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, reflection tokens are pegged to one token pegged to another's value.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So it's good for people to hear that and know that, because, you have to understand, I think crypto can be very volatile, right, Rob? I mean, at the end of the day, it can. So when you look at stable coins, all right, thus the term stable and stable coins, they don't really possess the incredibly unpredictable volatility of cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and maybe Ethereum. So that doesn't mean, listen, they can experience, because somebody may be listening going, sorry, Jim, they can experience volatility. So we have to say that they're not immune to volatility, but they're only stable, I guess we could say, as the assets that they're pegged with. Correct. But they're also expected to be stable too, right?
Correct.
So you can expect price swings in that respect, but I think that's very helpful for people to see that these stable coins, also known really too as dollar digital currencies, that they can enable investors, and this is what you like, man, passive income, right? Cash flow. It can enable investors to generate a yield on their crypto assets in the DeFi market, while in a sense alleviating or reducing the potential adverse effects of market volatility.
Correct.
Does that make sense? Is that simple enough?
Yeah. I mean, I know it wouldn't be good for marketing. It doesn't roll off the tongue, but it should be called like a more stable coin or a stabler coin.
Yeah.
Okay. So now talking about even the price fluctuation in something that's supposed to be stable, like the dollar, right? Or USDC or whatever you want. All that's happening in my head is I'm screaming, because Rich Dad talks about risk, right? Risk mitigation, risk management. Like, what are the risks related to getting into something? Because I'm honestly getting into new projects, early projects, and I understand some of the risks, but like, I would love to hear from your point of view, like what you look at as risk in this sort of new ecosystem.
Yeah. So you have to talk about it. And I think that's part of what's beautiful about Rich Dad, Poor Dad, is we give you the unvarnished truth and what's going on in the markets and how we see things. But we're not just going to sit here and tell you great and wonderful things without giving you some of the risks, again, that are associated with this. So listen, DeFi is still riddled with hacks and scams and things that, rug pulls. And we should define that too, because again, these are terms that you're like, what the heck does that mean? And a rug pull is when hackers will literally drain a protocol of the funds, like pulling the rug out from underneath somebody, right? And that's in life. We talk about that. You got the rug pulled out from, I didn't expect that to happen. Well, that happens a lot. And that's because, a lot of these DeFi platforms, they run on what I said before, these open source smart contracts. And so what does that mean? It gives hackers the chance to probe these networks for weaknesses, because DeFi is about decentralization and transparency. And Rob, if I could give you an example, in July, the DeFi platform Poly Network was hit by hackers. And people, you're going to marvel at this. They pulled off the biggest crypto heist yet. They stole 600, and I think it was 13 million in digital coins. They returned tokens that were maybe worth around 250 million a day later. But we also, even a couple of weeks ago, there was one called Wormhole, which is a huge bridge between Solana and other blockchains that was hacked. And that was somewhere over $300 million or 120,000 Ether. So that was the second largest hack to date. Wow. And funds lost to hacks last year, I think it was over $1 billion in 2021.
Makes sense.
So we're not looking at this with rose-colored glasses. We're not acting as if everything is perfect. Anything that is new, anything that is nascent, any industry, you're going to have hiccups. Progress sometimes isn't pretty. This is the future, man. This is the future. This is decentralized finance is certainly going to happen. It is happening, and more people are getting onboarded, but it's going to take a little bit longer. And it's another thing we could say, what's another risk that's at play with it? I would say there's really no backup. And what do I mean by that? Just like your bank account, DeFi and cryptocurrency wallets have to be secured with things like you hear terms like private keys and seed phrases. So to keep things really simple, I mean, I don't know. There was a guy, who's the guy with Thomas, I think is his last name. He's like the founder and CEO of like some like micro payment like company or service.
Okay.
He had, right, $321 million worth of Bitcoin. He can't access to this day. The password is on his iron key, which is like a USB hard drive that contains like his digital wallet. And he only gets 10 chances to guess the password. Yeah. He's used up 8 of them. So he's only got 2 left. And I'm sorry I'm laughing, but it's a crazy world. And that's something we could get into down the road too, about crypto security and locking down your crypto. So people lose stuff and you have to write down these seed phrases. And I tell people all the time, privately, publicly, you have to store your seed phrases that are attached to your account. If you lose your password, the only way to get this account back and your wallet and, you know, your private keys, you need to know what, that seed phrase is. So it's pretty crazy, man. And I could go into a lot more detail, but I won't, about things like impermanent loss risk, but I'm not going to do that.
Too much.
I would totally confuse people. But at the end of the day, we want people to know that there are risks that are associated with this in investing, but everyone has to do their own research and everyone has to, we don't give any financial advice on the show, but I think the future is bright.
Funny about the security keys is I actually have I'm so, anal, I guess is the right word, about security, that I actually have all of my mnemonic passphrases, whatever you want to call them, there. I've got all of mine stored, written on paper in a safe, in my friend's safe, as one of my versions, just so it's like protected outside. My house burns down.
I love it.
The chances of his burning down are very slim. So like, why not have some redundancy in my security?
Hey, did I mention this to you? What about so you're married, right? And I'm married. I have kids. Yep. I tell my wife, man, I'm like, listen, if I die tomorrow, I get hit by a truck, this is who you're to contact. And we have an agreement with a couple of my friends that you're not going to be able to figure all this stuff out. So he'll come in and help you, and that I would help his wife. And you may think that's crazy, but you kind of need to think about things like this.
It's not crazy. So, there's actually an industry starting up with custodial,
right?
Oh,
yeah. What are we doing, man? Listen, there is. Did you lose me?
No, you're good. Sorry.
I thought you lost me for a second.
A little bit.
Yeah. So man, it's pretty wild. So those are the kind of conversations that you really have to have. But the future's bright.
Oh, I would love to hear about it. Actually, like, what does the future look like? How bright is it?
It's in spite of what I just said, I think it's super bright, man. The DeFi market is currently a playing field for experienced crypto people right now, like us, right? Who understand how to interact with smart contracts and manage, multiple digital assets. The average retail investor kind of is yet to really enter the DeFi market, as the knowledge barriers are still a little high. But you know what? In the near future, I'm expecting that to change. Yeah. Because I believe that tomorrow's DeFi market is going to allow anybody across this world, man, across the globe, to access a decentralized global financial marketplace that's going to provide services, that traditional financial institutions really can't offer. For example, man, like say there's a woman that's running a market, and she's in a developing country, or even a stall, I should say, in a market. I don't know. That's probably a better way to say it. And, in terms of borrowing funds at competitive rates, she could just go to a decentralized lending protocol using her smartphone. Yep. Or a merchant in a developing nation who's concerned about inflation, and they can place funds into a yield generating protocol that could earn, man, higher APR than whatever their country is, wherever they're at, the prevailing, inflation rate. So at some of the features, man, that we expect to see in DeFi, they're actually already possible thanks to some of these applications that exist. And I mentioned like Curve or Aave or Compound, things like that. And DeFi, I'll sum it up with this. DeFi, like the internet, I think is really going to make financial services cheaper, faster, more secure, not right, but down the road, more secure, right, more personalized, and more. So if you think about like YouTube, right? And you have a YouTube account, everybody's on YouTube, and people will see this on YouTube. So if YouTube grew the breadth of video content by orders of magnitude because it was free and easy for anyone to both create and use videos, let me put it this way. What will DeFi do for financial products as it similarly allows anyone to create and use anything at almost near zero cost? The future, my friend, has yet to be written. There are more chapters that are going to be written in this book, and I'm excited, man, to be part of it. The digital DeFi disruption.
Yes. Truth be told, I'm in like 6 or 7 DeFi projects, and in all of their discords right now, the only thing, and I love it, it's because as an investor, it just rings nicely in my ears, is sustainability. Sustainability is the key discussion point right now, and at least the DeFi that I'm into right now, and it is, I love to hear that. Well, hey, you know what?
I love it.
This has been great.
What time is it? I think it's time. I feel like it's time for something.
But like, I think we want to continue this on next week, and I have an idea for next week's discussion. But we're gonna wait and let everybody just show up next week, and it gets a little deeper into DeFi, but it's really, really interesting. So tune back in next week. So Jim, like in the DeFi space, we've been talking GameFi, NFT. I'd still like to wrap up with talking about things that we're sort of looking at or interested in. What's on your mind?
Yeah, that's pretty good. My thing, man. I love the NFT world. I loved, and DeFi is part of that. It's all intertwined. But I'm very big, as you know, into GameFi and NFTs, and I want to bring just 2 projects to the awareness of the community. And the first one is called Anime Metaverse. In a second, I'll share my screen. I just want to tell you first, the founder is doxed. He's a serial entrepreneur by the name of Kendrick Wong. And again, Anime Metaverse is going to be huge. This guy is named to the Forbes 30, under 30 in Asia. He's attracted some huge names to his team, including the former president and rep director of Burberry in Japan and South Korea, and the guy who built the first asset platform on the Ethereum blockchain. This is a great collection that I'm really excited about. It's built around they're calling soulmates. This collection is going to feature like 5 characters with 1,000 unique character traits. They're looking to build too, why it's called Anime Metaverse. They're looking to build like this immersive metaverse. And they have really ambitious but realistic plans. And Rob, we've said this before. You see a lot of people that want to slap that word metaverse on everything and all different projects. Mm-hmm. But this is a guy and a team that they have the firepower and they have the wherewithal. They have the experience. They have the understanding that it's going to take maybe up to 2 years. And they started to build a true metaverse. When I hear people going, metaverse is going to be done in 4 or 5 months, I'm like, that's just not realistic. So it takes a lot of time. I think the project really stands out, and it's at the intersection really of fashion, gaming, anime, and the metaverse at large. They have an incredible community, and we always talk about that, how important community is, and they have incredible engagement, man, across their Discord. If I could just show you even their Twitter page. So let me share my screen here now, and then I will show you that. But yeah, this guy's a rock star. And, a couple of the names and for example, I mentioned Gajira, I put this guy in the same category as this guy, Shan. You can see that now?
Yep. 100%.
All right, cool. So this is Anime Metaverse, just to get an idea. So they have 83,000 followers on Twitter. They also, and remember, always look at who's following these people and these projects. So we have here Clementine's Nightmare, another project that just launched this week, their first NFT drop. The private one, the public one is going to be next, I think in a couple of weeks, actually. This has gotten a lot of notoriety, a lot of acclaim. I love it. And it's something that I'm going to be following, and I want to put it on the radar of the community. So that was number 1. And then number 2, if I can delve into this one is called Forgotten Ethereal Worlds. And just like Gajira, and just like Anime Metaverse, this one is amazing too. And it goes back to, I always tell people, you got to look, who are the founders? Who's the team? What are they all about? Yes. And when you look at the team here that is behind this, first of all, they had a Genesis collection where there were 345 of them. And I think the floor price right now is somewhere around like 8 ETH. which if people don't know what that is, that's, I don't know, somewhere like around 20,000 US dollars right now. So that's the floor for that collection. So their next launch, their V2, is coming out very soon. And the founder, his name is Takoa. And he's actually a guy, man, I'd love to have on the show one day. He's another guy. He's an absolute rock star. He understands the space. He's a purist. And he's created this project really with his own personal thoughts and his own life experiences. And I kind of like that. And this is not a static NFT project. And a lot of NFTs really, they're static and they're unchanging. Well, this one is the exact antithesis of that, because it is going to be changing. And what NFT, the NFT, so if you're looking here at the picture, the NFT here is going to be a moving, growing landscape that changes. And the more people actually contribute to the community, the more your NFT changes, which is, to me, absolutely wild. And the best part of this, I think, is part of the verification process that he has here, that he's going to be creating a community that the people, the more involved you are in the community, the more access you're actually going to have to him. And he's creating this environment where this community will just continue to grow and it will really continue to flourish. And I'm super excited about where it's going, man. It's like, to be part of his, like a guy like Takoa, his VIP group is just absolutely, it's a huge deal. And it's something, the benefits over time, you know what it's kind of like? It's akin to almost like you go to an airport, you're in the Sky Miles Club, or you're in like the American Express lounge, whatever. He's creating an environment, where the NFTs are going to change and they're going to evolve, which is so mind blowing. But then also creating a community, the more involved people are, the more access they have to the benefits that are going to be associated with the utility in the project. So something else to be on your radar. Oh, and if I could just show you this, look, this is Takoa's. So this is Forgotten Ethereal. They have 30,000 followers. Again, a little bit newer, a little different than the other one. But look, this is Takoa. He has 133,000 followers. The guy is an absolute genius. He's brilliant. Again, it's somebody I'd love to bring on the show one day and people to hear more about him. And then some of the other launches, like I said this before, but Gajira, I know people are asking, this is going to be launching, I think, next week. And Shan and his team, they're amazing too. These guys are all rock stars. So whether it's Anime Metaverse Kendrick, whether it's Takoa on, I mixed it up, whether it's Takoa on Few, Forgotten Ethereal, or Shannon on Gajira, these guys are all rock stars. So, hey, things that I'm really looking at and you should pay attention to. Up to you now, man. What do you got?
Oh, man, I just want to give a shout out, honestly, to like my first and most fun DeFi project, which is Thor Financial. I love it. They're not doxed. And by the way, when Jim says the word doxed, that means that the people that are in charge of the project, you know who they are. Yeah, you see pictures of them, you know where, I mean, you know, a general location, a name, like they're doxed. Their name is known. The Thor team is not doxed. The community manager Loki, which, by the way, I'm a huge Marvel fan. Like, Thor attracted me in just with like Thor's hammer. I loved it.
Awesome. Absolutely.
And it's given me all the experience like through the ups and downs of what DeFi can be. But it has been a great project. And I'm just looking at other projects that I found today, like Drip. I'm just looking into these other new things to like sort of dip my toe in. And remember, when you get into these projects, never, ever, ever, ever invest your, gas money, your dinner money, your rent. Only invest money that you can afford to lose, because it is crazy and you could always lose it. So just don't ever invest in anything you can't afford.
I love it. You know what? You just ended with some DeFi drip. Alliteration, man. I love it. Some of that drip that you just brought the community, man, that's really good stuff. And I don't know what you're going to be doing as we kind of end this, but you know where I'm going to go? I got to tell the audience. I think I'm going to go. I'm excited. I want to go into the metaverse and I want to go find a McDonald's and I want to order a Big Mac and fries and like a shake and have it delivered to my house. How does that sound?
That sounds pretty amazing. Can you think that's going to ever be possible?
Yeah, man. They're talking about that. How crazy is that? And I know it's off topic. We're digressing, but
it's just fun. It showcases exactly where this can go. It's infinite.
It's wild. But I love what you brought up with Thor, man. That's gosh, good stuff. I know they reduce some of their rewards and whatever, but it's a great protocol.
I'm fine with it.
Should check it out. And for the long term, smart move long term, absolutely. And some people like that.
Emotionally, it's
so true.
But whatever.
So true, brother. So
you got to get thicker skin if you're going to get into crypto.
Ooh,
you need to survive the lows because they're I wouldn't say frequent, but they do happen quite a bit. All right, man. It was great talking to you again this week.
Always good being here, man. We'll catch you next week.
Absolutely. See you next week.